Hello guys, it's Nim and welcome back to my channel. Today is Sunday and that means we are making a video and uploading a video for our Australian zoo. And today, as you probably already saw by the title, we are building a habitat for the dingo. And I'm gonna say this every episode, but I have literally like no clue of Australian animals. I'm guessing the dingo is kind of like a wild dog. I mean, from what I've seen from it and the way it looks, it kind of reminds me like a wild dog. So if it's not a wild dog, I'm very sorry. I didn't really read the description of the Zoopedia, and I basically didn't bother to look up any extra information about dingoes. I'm just being completely honest. I really don't know anything about dingoes except that they're wild and they eat things. They're flesh eaters, so they eat like other animals and maybe babies, who knows. So anyways, today we are building a habitat for that, and recently I've gotten into the vibe of actually creating a good zoo. So I don't only just build a habitat, I build like all around the habitat as well. So the first thing what we are making here today is actually a food court that will be located next to the dingo habitat. So that when you are eating your pizza pan or your fries from Monsieur Fries, you can actually do that while looking at the dingoes. I mean, what else is better than, you know, eating while looking at animals? I mean, I know that when I go to a zoo, I always buy like fries. That's my like go-to food when I go to zoos. I always eat fries in the zoo. Just my treat to myself. Whenever it's really insane, but whenever I go to a zoo, I look at a map. Okay, first of all, where are the gorillas? Because I love gorillas. And second of all, is there a fry thing? Is there a place where they sell fries very close to that? If the answer is yes, then I will get my fries there. I mean, I love it. It's really just my go-to thing in the zoo. Do you guys have like this weird go-to things in zoos? Also, sorry, my voice. Kind of having a rough time with my voice at the moment, but you know, it will pass and it will get better. Don't worry about me. So outside of the food court, we are actually building this little gift shops. Like we're gonna have two. We are going to have a Hat Fantastic and a other thing. Just a memento, apparently. I think they sell bags or whatever, I'm not sure. And Hats Fantastic obviously sells hats. Because like the reason we do this, because at the we didn't have like a gift shop at the koala habitat at the entrance. But when you walk past the kangaroo habitat, you actually have the balloon shop. So I thought, you know what, why not buy the dingoes, have the Just a Momentum and the Hat's Fantastic, where you can actually buy stuff. So we are gonna have that there. It looks very basic at the moment, but we are gonna nicing it up a little. So we're gonna make it look very similar to the shops that we have at the beginning of the zoo, just so that you have the feeling that it's one all big cohesive zoo. Also, I felt like, you know, better start doing the landscaping now, because once I've had the landscaping done, I can actually, in my mind it works better, because then I can oversee where I still have to decorate and what is the space that I have left, because I feel like landscaping is a pretty big part of this game. And might just be my mind, but my mind immediately goes, okay, zoos, how are they landscaped? Because I just have an eye for that, I see it. So I want this zoo to be like the prettiest zoo you've ever seen, and obviously it probably won't be like that, but you know, a girl can dream. And here you see that on these gift shops we're actually making the little shelf where you can like lean on and put your money on. So it's very realistic. We are also gonna put some pallets next to it and just imagine like there were like goods on there and merch. So like it's everything that they sell in the gift shops and that they sell in the food court. It was once on these pallets, and they've just stacked them here. And I actually quite like the idea of it being stacked here. I think it looks I don't think it looks very much like a real zoo would have it, but I think it does look very alive and realistic. And we obviously did the entrance, the inside of the food court. And now we are doing the roof. And I do believe that I forgot to do like the inside decorating with benches, so we are gonna do that in a minute. But I did decorate all the shops because that is really difficult to do once the roof is on there, because when you zoom out you just go through the roof, as you can see right here. When I zoom out too much, I actually go through the roof, and that is pretty darn annoying, so you don't want that. Now we are just placing some benches, and then the inside is done. We are gonna keep it pretty basic. Like, you want to have all the seating area outside of the habitat, so you can actually like sit and look at the animals. You will see me in this video playing with the time a lot, because I've built this habitat on a hill, like next to the hill. So the shadows are sometimes a bit weird. So sometimes we are in the morning time, sometimes we're in the afternoon time. Obviously, when doing the lighting, we are at night time, but you know, that's logical. But you know, depending on what time it is of the day, the shades are very different, which I love, because the shadows actually matter. So you see me placing here these trees, and those trees are gonna give us a bit of a hassle in the future. Just bear that in mind already. And here we are building this viewing platform. And we are also, just like the one we have on the other side, so we have two of those viewing platforms. And they actually go a little bit in the habitat. Obviously, dingoes are dangerous animals, so your guests won't be able to actually enter the habitat. But like this, they will still be able to like be standing in it in a safe way. And I was actually very afraid that dingoes, like, maybe they could jump on it. But luckily they can't, so, you know, that's good for me. Huzzah. So your guests are perfectly safe there. Here we are just making a little bit of more decoration, and we're actually doing this playful thing with the water, where we are adding a lot of rocks. You know, because rocks are very common in the zoo, and I just wanted to make it look like this is a really rocky desert area. And I believe that in a minute we are also going to add a little fake pathway through the water. So like for the kids, they could just walk here, and then they could walk on the rocks, and then in the water, and then out the water again. I felt like if I was a kid and this would be in a zoo, I would totally walk on that, even though it probably wasn't allowed. But you know, it's fun, it's there, kids can use it. And I actually think it looks really fun. Also with all the bushes that we use, I keep forgetting the names of the bushes. I keep want to call them granola bushes, but I don't think that's the real name, because a granola is like a nut, I think. So, you know what I mean, like the green bushes with the weird yellow flowery things. And I actually really like the way that it's turning out. I think this might be one of my favorite habitats so far, or places in the zoo. And because in my mind we had like this little kid area here, I wanted to place some koala lights, you know, because it's inviting to kids. And then we are going to continue the landscaping. Now, I didn't want to overly stuff it with plants and with trees, because we are in a desert area, so there aren't going to be that whole lot of trees. Like, that's just not there. Like, let's be fair. Desert doesn't really have a lot of vegetation. But since it is Australia, and when I think of Australia, I think of like a lot of scary animals and plants. Well, not scary plants, but just plants and scary animals. And so I felt like we did needed to landscape a bit more than I would in a normal desert. And I actually think that it looks really nice and really cohesive. So at this point, we have set the barrier, and I cut that bit out because it was quite a hassle working with the barrier, just making sure that it fits everywhere. And then in a minute we are going to, like, we're working with null barriers and other kind of barriers, and we actually had an animal escape because I didn't place the barrier correct. Now we are going to place some of the panels, we are going to replace it with glass so that people can actually look into it. And we are also going to replace some of the null barriers with actually a fence, just to make sure that the animals actually can't jump out. But you will see me doing that later, I believe. And here we are adding a little, oh, not a little, quite a big pond. I know that the animals have like water on the other side, but I felt like it was pretty important that they had like more water so that they could choose where they're swimming, and that the guests have like multiple points of seeing them interacting with the water, because the water is pretty far back, so we have one that's a little bit closer. And here we are actually building a shelter, and we are custom making it. Like I said, we are custom making everything in the zoo. And we are actually building a shelter for the animals. Now, the guests won't be able to see the animals because, you know, obviously they are under a roof. But I think that's actually nice because animals, like, they deserve privacy as well. Now in here we are just placing a little bit of a round roof and the animals can actually walk on it, so it's actually a traversable area. And obviously we're copying it over so that looks the same. And it's play tested, it's checked, the animals can't actually jump over the rocks and escape and bite your guests. Luckily, because, you know, that would have been pretty terrifying and also pretty darn funny, who knows. So, and down there we are going to have, well, add a little bit of hay, and we are actually going to make this the sleeping area of the dingoes. We are going to add a lot of dingoes in there. There are already a few in there. I think in the end we are gonna have like 6 or 7 dingoes that are in there. And it is enough space, so like they can all like lie together, very cozy. And when I was building this, like the only thing that like went into my head, I was like, man, this is such a big habitat. Like it is like almost, I think, I can't really see it because it's blurry, but I think it's like 8,100 square meters and they only need like 1,300, so it is quite big. Once again, I excel in making big habitats and like ridiculously large habitats, but you know, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. It's all good. And I do believe that making some of these, well, what was sand and rock, making it grass, it actually looks more inviting and it looks more alive and more like what I believe was the dingo's habitat, because just sand and rock, it looked pretty sad. And now we are going to add some rocks, and fun fact, the rocks are also traversable areas, so they can actually walk on it. Maybe you've already seen it in the beginning animation, and otherwise you are definitely going to see it at the animations. Cinematics, that's the word I'm looking for the cinematics at the end, because, you know, it was pretty fun. They were just walking on it and jumping. Especially the jumping looked very hilarious, kind of wrong, but you know what? It's fun. And again, we are placing the rocks. I mean, rocks are like this common thing. I do it with all my Sims builds as well. When in doubt, place rocks. It is true. Especially that big giant boulder. It's my favorite in this game. I use it for so many things. You can just sink it into the ground to make it look really tiny, or you can all the way like stick it out and it will be this giant rock. So, you know, it is fun. And then we are going to add some landscaping, and we are gonna start with I still don't know what it's called. I keep forgetting it. Cattails? I think it's cattails. Or are cattails the other ones? Man, I'm not sure. Anyways, and we are just adding some vegetation on this side because, you know, there is a little bit more desert here. And when there is more grass, we are obviously going to add a lot more vegetation. We are also nicing up those rocks, as we well, had like the courtesy to do in all my builds lately, so why stop there? Because it actually looks really good when you have like plants on top of the rocks. It makes it look more natural, at least in my opinion. And then we are going to add like a lot of bushes, and I mean a lot. But I also think like dingoes, they needed a lot of vegetation. As you can see, like they can go up to 100% coverage, which I personally really like, because I found it really difficult to decorate habitats for animals when they can't actually have that much vegetation and that much coverage. Luckily, the dingoes can. So I think in the end we are giving them roughly 30% coverage. And I feel that's good, because then the guests can still see the dingoes, and the dingoes have like enough space to run around and roam free. And right here we are finishing up this area with some obvious fencing that needs to be done, because we don't want our little kids to like fall off and drown and die, because, you know, that would be pretty awful for us as a zoo. I mean, you're never gonna recover from a serious accident like that. I mean, if a kid gets killed at your zoo, that's pretty awful, you know, so we're gonna need some safety measures. We are also going to add some other fencing, my favorite fence, the really old rusty one. I want to say rustic, but that's something else. And we're gonna add that all the way along the pathway, just to make sure that, you know, kids can't immediately die and actually have to climb over. And it also gives us a way to do some funny landscaping and landscaping scenes and all that stuff behind the fencing. And I actually really like it, and we haven't done that yet. We are gonna go in that with the next episode. And I think in the next episode we are actually going to make the habitat for that weird emu bird, which I think was called a cassowary, but I'm gonna call it the casserole. So I really have no clue what kind of animal it is. I'm really gonna Google that animal, because I feel like it's a relative of the emu, but I'm not really sure. But you know, we'll see in the next episode. I'll do some research and you know, it will be fine. And also at the actual dingo habitat, we are adding some fences for if your child would be foolish enough to climb over the railing, it wouldn't fall directly into this dangerous animal habitat, but it would actually fall on top of this little fence, and you would be able to quickly get it and save it. So no, that's all nice. And I believe we are going into the cinematics right now. So guys, make sure you like, comment and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you guys have a very good evening, morning or afternoon, wherever you are. And I will hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.